We are live. It's saying we're live, so... Oh, I can flip the camera right during this. Give everybody a look at the rat's nest that I got going on down here for audio equipment, and my permanent blind structure is not hung up. We got some...
You can hear me, though, right?
I can hear you good.
That's all that matters.
So... we may have to speak up a little bit for the phone to hear us, or for the Facebook Live video. That was Aaron Florek. He's our guest today, and we are going to attempt to film a live Facebook video to get some interaction from racers from the EROC series, or people that ride dirt bikes that just like the sport, that want to talk to Aaron Florek about some tech questions, or myself about racing, or Aaron about racing, or whatever. This is just dirt bike talk, so you don't even have to be part of the series if you want to chime in. Again, myself and good friend Aaron Florek here. Aaron is a mechanic. He is one of the best mechanics that I know. And
do you know anybody?
Dirt bikes?
Yeah.
I know a couple, but
Okay.
I mean overall mechanics.
Oh.
Mechanics, period.
Thanks.
Yeah. I give you tons of credit. Josh Wilson's incredible, man. He's
Never heard of her.
yeah.
Just kidding, buddy.
Josh is a good friend of ours. He's a diesel technician, and he's another outstanding mechanic. But anyway, so what we're trying to accomplish right now is we're recording this podcast, and this segment will be on the podcast. And what we want to do is get questions from you guys, or comments. If you guys just want to say, hey, this was my favorite race this year, or hey, this is my favorite practice track, or if you want to talk about riding technique, or if you want to talk about fitness or nutrition or anything, tires, whatever, we're here to talk about it. So who's going to be... That says Mason George is watching. I see you, buddy. We were just talking about you. We just went over the race results, and I think we went over round 7, and you were, second, right? Second overall?
Yep.
Nice ride, dude. So
He actually texted me last night some technical stuff that hopefully I answered, but just random stuff all the time.
yeah. So Aaron says you were asking him a couple questions last night. What was one of the questions, Aaron?
They were having some complications with a Yamaha with just throttle body, so I just tried to give him my 2 cents, and hopefully...
A Yamaha?
Yeah.
Dirt bike?
Dirt bike.
Is there something I don't know?
No, it was his buddy's.
Oh, his buddy's
Yeah,
bike.
his buddy's
Okay. I got excited for a second.
Yeah.
Another Team Moto Zealy rider coming on up.
Yeah, could have been.
So, what else? So we will get into our normal segment for the podcast, and we were going to talk about Ocell Farms round 7. I'll just tell you, like I said, for people watching, they don't know, you weren't at the race, but
No.
that race it was good. It was an awesome layout, and it was my style track. So I had a blast. A lot of people, some people like tight, super tight and technical. Some people like wide open and fast. Some people like a mixture. I like a mixture of those things, and I felt that track had a mixture. So it was fun for me, and the team did well. I'm not going to get into championship talk right now just because we haven't covered round 8, but a few of us were able to secure our championships early. I wasn't even... Well, I kind of screwed that one up, but I wrapped the championship up round 7, and I busted my hand racing a pit bike and wasn't able to race the final round. So that bummed me out. The last round looked pretty interesting. But to give a little credit to some other racers, you know, Mark McGrath was right there on my heels all year. He beat me a couple races, and early on, I knew I had my work cut out. The first race of the year, I was swapping with these guys, feeling them out, and
it's gonna be a long year,
dude. Quickly realized this is going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy year, and like I said, I never used to look over my shoulder. And a couple times I was doing like a 180 turn. I was exiting the turn, and Mark would be coming in behind me. And I'm like, do I have to ride like this all day?
Yep.
I have to ride like this all day. And that's good. It was good for me because, you know, it made me, it was just a gut check. Like, do you really want this? Because before, if I got tired, I just backed off.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, do you want this championship? Do you want to? I was part of a team I put together, and myself and the guys out at Motozilla Yamaha, we refined an idea and made it happen. And I just was holding myself accountable, saying, you know, I do want it. I do want to win, and I do want to represent that shop well. And all the stuff's going through my head. First 2 or 3 races of the year.
First lap in, too.
Oh, my gosh, man. I'm like, Brad, focus. Just focus. So I see a few more people are watching. Kayla Coffee. Van May. What's up, Van?
How you doing, sir?
So let's hear some questions or some comments. Where are you at, Van? Where are you watching from? You doing some military work?
It's probably early where he's from.
Yeah. I want to hear about it. I don't even know if I don't do the Facebook Live, so I'm not sure. Will a question or a comment just pop up? Somebody give me a little test. I know you can write comments. I don't know how to do it, though, unless people just...
It's all new to me.
Yeah, I'm so confused.
This is why you ride in the plus 40 class?
Yeah. I need one of these youngsters to come on and teach me how to do this. So, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, here we go. Ken Blanksheen says hello. It is working. Okay.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah, not. I think it says there's 5 people watching right now.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. So, Brad Jones just joined us. What's up, dude? So I said, Brad, I needed your comment from riding with Aaron the other day. You guys did some off-road riding. And I said, chime in, so I want to hear how that went. And
he's like, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it was fun. I mean, we had a good time out there. We just took him out to some single track. And
oh, wait, hey, check this out. It says Van May wants to be in your video. So if I approve it, what will this do? Will we be able to hear him? This is interesting. This is all new to me, guys. So it's just something different to try. And this is going to be on YouTube. Obviously, the audio is going to sound different. What you're hearing right now, it's going to sound completely different if you watch the YouTube, because you're going to hear the actual post-production version of it. Van is in Las Vegas. I did hit to approve to get you on here to be able to see you, and it says it's adding you. So I don't know how long this stuff takes or if there's a delay. In Las Vegas. Van, what are you doing in Las Vegas? Some military stuff? I look at your pictures and videos, and I think all the time, I think I want to do your job. So it looks awesome. It looks like it's a good time. Oh, maybe he just bumped something because it said no answer from the live video guest.
he just butt dialed you.
It was just a butt dial, you think?
Yeah, probably, maybe.
Where's my coffee? Oh, it's way over there. I'm going to get it. I'm going to take you guys with me. You're going to have to excuse the mess up here. Oh.
It's clean downstairs, so that's all that matters.
The shop. And upstairs isn't the best as far as being clean and neat and organized because I've been 100 miles an hour.
Constant go.
Yeah, so.
No time for that.
Van says, moving back to Ohio soon, getting a new dirt bike and racing with you guys next year. Dude, don't tease me.
It's penciled in the calendar.
Yeah, bring it, dude. That would be so sick. That's awesome. That would be moving back to Ohio. All right. Brad Jones, come on, man. Let me hear the dirt. What happened when you and Aaron went riding?
Nothing. We just went riding. That's all pretty much. We pounded out like maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It was a good time. Bringing the moto guys out in the woods it's always fun because I was a moto guy.
He said, "Are you drinking already? Show them what we're drinking."
Unfortunately, lattes.
Hey, we got beer. No, those beers, if you saw those beers, those are just old because I am terrible cleaning up. So maybe we'll get to drinking pretty soon.
Yeah, the time delay, that'll put us about noon. So
yeah. So no, we're drinking coffee, and I was supposed to give a review. Aaron picked me up a mocha. What is it?
It's a macchiato.
Macchiato.
It's just espresso shots.
Just espresso shots?
I think so. I told you you'd be buzzing here in a minute with some caffeine.
That's why I feel like I can see my future right now.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we're not drinking already. I want to get into some dirt bike talk. Brad, when are you coming over to Team Blue? I know in the back of your mind, you're like, I can go out there and do that. I can win a Woods championship.
I think Brad would do well in the woods for sure. Give him some hand guards and you're good to go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So is that
so some seat time? I believe some seat time, and he'd be right up there, no doubt.
Yeah. You think he'll do it?
No.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
He should probably get a blue bike first, huh?
That's preference.
I want to hear it. Get a blue bike. Come on, Moto Zeely. Come on the Moto Zeely train. This is interesting. I think I've done a live before, but there's all kinds of little things on the bottom of my phone that I'm looking at. I don't know what any of this stuff does. He says he's eyeing up that new KX. What, the special edition or whatever they call it?
The $10,000 one?
Yeah, the extra expensive one. It's got those like RG3 or some fancy triple clamp.
Yeah,
some pipe. They just put some bolt-ons on it and say it's factory bike.
Special edition.
Yeah. It looks sweet. I saw it.
I'd wreck it.
I'd wreck it
for sure.
I'd definitely wreck it. I can't ride anything but a Yamaha. I tried. So I want to get some more competitors on here. Maybe we didn't give enough build up.
Yeah, I think
let
so.
enough people know. Quite a few people saw it, so we'll see. But
maybe if you had some premier guest.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know how to get Aaron and I both in this shot. So we're just going to have to keep flipping back and forth, and maybe you guys are just going to hear Aaron and I talk to each other. Hopefully the audio is good enough for you guys to hear us. And if you want to say something, just chime in, and we'll talk with you guys as well. Brad says, I can't see myself getting into the whole series, but around here and there would be cool.
Yeah.
KYB suspension?
KYB, they jumped off of Showa.
For real?
Yeah, I haven't even looked at them. I mean, it just depends on the contracts of the manufacturer. So,
well, that'd be a game changer right there. I didn't know that. How did I not see that? I saw pictures of it.
Identification.
Oh, he said if he did the whole series, he'd end up having to ride in the mud.
Well, I'll wash your bike for you.
Aaron says I'll wash your stuff for you, so no excuse. Bring it. 40A, baby. That's all you. I think he's 40, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Sorry, Brad. I don't know.
I think
he's a little older than me. I'm 38.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I think he's my age.
Yeah, I would agree.
This is cool. Yeah, he said on the special edition, they do have that KYB suspension.
Nice.
So if anybody's watching and they don't know why that's such a big deal, the KYB suspension, every suspension shootout, any magazine shoot or video shoot, any showdown on suspension, the KYB SSS, which is what, speed sensitive suspension or something.
Sure.
That fork, that front end, everybody prefers. It's a spring style, spring and oil. It's no air. It's none of this new.
It's like a lot of the guys that have shows will put in, they have kits, to convert kind of like a KYB with spring kit.
Right. Yeah.
So it's looked upon.
He said he does need a mechanic, so.
We'll put an ad in the paper.
So Van says, I've definitely matured and I'll be racing the 60-plus class next year.
All right.
LOL.
There's nothing to laugh about that. I wish I could be riding
What's
a bike.
LOL mean? Is that little on the lean side? It's your dirt bike's LOL.
Yeah, it's lean. It's popping.
Oh, gosh. Billy Farmer, 40C, here I come. Oh,
Nice.
Here we go. Dude.
Did you get your basket for those?
I'm going to see if I get a kitchen pass and come out to Western Reserve tomorrow to watch the big bad Billy Farmer make his return. So, 40C. You're joking. There's probably some dudes in 40C that haul the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's joking, though. Yeah, you better start training, boy. You and Van May are going to be battling. I might have to get a kitchen pass, go out to Western Reserve. So we'll give those guys a plug. Check out my shirt, dude. Did you see that, Billy? Pit MX. Racewear. Tomorrow's the 2-man 4-hour out at Western Reserve Motorcycle Club, and that is a legendary race.
I did it once. It was so much fun. It was my first air scramble.
It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
Me and Mike Kaiser have been teaming up, for many years. Just whenever there's a team race, we go out there to have a good time.
Oh, yeah. It's all about having fun.
He asked me, about teaming up, and my hand is still jacked up, and I don't even know the extent of the damage it's done right now, so I'm not going to be able to race, but I might be able to go out there and watch you guys and maybe throw up some obnoxious signs as you guys are racing.
Just a little motivation.
Billy said maybe you two should team up. I guess that's me and Aaron.
I think we would do good minus your hand.
Yeah, well, I can ride. I know I can ride because just going around the yard, I don't really feel the pain. It's when I open my hand that hurts.
So don't let go.
Well, I think, like I said, I'd be fine. But if I had an incident with this finger, I really think that I'm either a lot of damage is already done or it's real close. So I got to be careful. I think it's the tendons and ligaments between my fingers. So I guess tomorrow is not an option for racing for this guy. I'd love to. I'd like to team up with Kaiser or Aaron.
Well, I haven't rode for a while. I mean, I rode twice since I broke my collarbone, but I'd be down.
Yeah. Well, Aaron says he's down, so who wants to team up with him?
We got me. So I had Cole Richardson, and he's a ATV rider. We did the 2-man 4-hour, and we came away with the second overall. So it was pretty good.
Where at?
At Western Reserve.
Oh, that was the one you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a good time. I enjoyed it.
You and a quad racer.
Yeah.
2-man 4-hour.
Second overall.
I know you feel like that phone is right in your face, but
it's not.
It's not.
This mic's in my face.
You're still kind of far away.
That's cool. But yeah, it was a good time. I like that race.
Cool.
Western Reserve's fun to ride. Fun place to ride.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brad said, gonna be wet, 3.5 inches of rain last night.
Yeah.
And Farmer said, I can go out and do a lap when you need gas.
Nice.
Yeah. This is going to be a mutter. I hope you guys are ready out at Western Reserve. This is going to be...
It rained so much last night.
Did it?
Yeah, I mean, at my house,
I woke up a couple times to thunder and lightning, and it was raining, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, everybody talks about, it rained so much, but, you get there, it might be perfect.
At Western Reserve?
You never know.
No.
There might be some holes.
If it rained at Western Reserve, a good amount of rain, you guys they're going to be up to the foot pegs and ruts.
Yeah, that makes racing fun.
It's going to be fun to watch. If I can get out there, I'm going to be drinking beer on the sidelines.
Well, pick me up. I'm on the way.
So, just for the podcast segment, Aaron, Eddie Estock says it's going to be a mud fest.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, Aaron, that just got bright. Did I hit? I don't know what I did.
You need me to hold that thing?
No.
No, light's on.
Your light?
Yeah.
Oh. Is it off?
Yep.
Okay. So, Aaron, since these guys don't have questions for you, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
As far as dirt bike setup, right? Say you're a 16-year-old kid, you just got your first dirt bike. Brad Jones has a rain gauge. He says there's no guesswork.
That's a solo cup on his tailgate.
I doubt it. He probably has a freaking rain gauge.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. I have my dog bowl. When I go out and feed my dog, I'm like, oh, we must have got 2 inches of rain last night.
That's your hydrometer.
Yeah. So you're 16 years old. You get your first dirt bike. And what's the first thing you do to get that thing set up for you? Like if you're just getting into the sport, what's the most critical thing you can do to that dirt bike to make sure that it's going to work good?
I would say probably handlebars, get your levers and everything in position, and then probably tire pressure would be next.
Yeah.
Make sure your tire pressure is good, and then set up your race sag. You get those three things down, I think you can put gas in it and race.
Yeah.
So it's a lot there, but those are the basics.
And it is like when you say race sag, there's a lot that goes into it, but
it's pretty much just setting your suspension up for your weight, so it's balanced.
Right.
You don't want your bike to be unbalanced.
And most of the time, you have to change a spring rate. So your rear shock has a spring, and then you have springs in your forks if you have a spring fork setup. Mm-hmm. So most of the time, you have to change springs.
Yeah, definitely. You only have to do that once to your weight.
Right.
If you're 165 on the money, you probably don't have to change it, but depending on the bike.
Right.
But once you get your spring set up, it's all clickers from there on out.
Yeah. Cool. Well, more questions. More tech questions. I think when I go to the racetrack and I smell all these race gases and all this stuff, and then I see the kid that's out riding that bike, and we'll just say he's not the fastest guy there, okay, or he's like a 20th or 30th or 40th place guy. That race gas is nothing but a waste of money. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it makes your bike run different. You can have better throttle response, but you're right. Unless you have motor work, it's really a waste of money. But
yeah, I'll debate that.
I still use it in my stock bike. It smells good.
It does smell good, man. But they also make like perfume you can dump in your stuff. It probably smells,
That's cheating. You need octane.
Yeah, I put 90 octane,
some rec fuel,
ethanol free. And the dirt bike runs. It doesn't have problems. It doesn't get gummed up. It doesn't knock. It doesn't get hot.
Probably burns a lot cleaner than race fuel.
I'm sure it does. And it does not. The biggest thing is it's not knocking. And that's what I think a lot of people have a misconception about fuel. So correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, when it comes to fuel and it comes to octane, you know, you have a certain compression ratio in your bike. The higher the compression ratio, the more likely it is to knock.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what increasing octane does, is it builds resistance to knocking, right? If you don't know what knocking is, then
it's just a noise your motor makes because the combustion's not
it's adequate.
It's not efficient.
Right. So, yeah, race gas is pretty unnecessary unless your bike is knocking. And these things, you know, I'm not going to say who, but somebody I know runs 87 in a 450, and their bike still doesn't knock. I'm not advising that, but
yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I've actually had to work on bikes because they put the wrong fuel in. Be like, oh, it's not running, it's breaking up, and it can be all kinds of stuff. It can feel like an electrical issue, but it's just bad fuel. Not bad fuel, just low octane fuel.
Low octane.
Yeah, I mean, these bikes have super high compression right out of the box, so you
yeah,
need higher octane fuel.
Yeah, they have a good amount of compression, but there's something to be said for tuning as well. So like your ignition timing and all that have a lot to do with detonation.
Yep.
And how things, you know, how you can manipulate and adjust what a bike likes as far as running good or not running good.
Yeah, and it's a lot of preference too.
Right.
Riding style, speed.
Yeah. Like that tuner, the GYTR tuner, and then now they have it on your cell phone to where it's just it's a map. It's pretty incredible what you could do with those things. It's like, for me, it's like you could just put a picture of an engine on there, like 4 different engines, and just pick like, this thing's crazy built with tons of power and it's insane. And then there's your next version down, and they're all different engines. The changes are that drastic for me.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference.
When I put a different tune in, it is like it's a whole different engine, whole different bike.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, they make those tunes for different, conditions, probably maybe different parts on the bike too. You start building your bike, you got to add more fuel, maybe change your ignition a little bit.
Right.
But like if it's a real mud race, you don't want a ton of tire spin, so you're going to back it off, maybe retard the ignition. I doubt that. But even maybe put in more fuel, runs a little bit richer.
That, for my bike, the map that I chose is, I picked the map that took the most power out of the bike, and I run that everywhere I go. I never change it.
Yeah.
I'm just used to it. It basically turned that 450 into a 350. It's still a lot of bike.
It's just controllable power.
But it is so smooth. And, you know, if you want more power, you just ride it harder, you know, and it still lights up and it does good.
Oh, no doubt.
So, who else? We got 6 on right now.
Wow.
Brad Jones, let me ask you a question. Wait, I think I just turned that light back on. Did I?
Sure did. There you go.
Okay. Brad Jones, since you're on here, how about I will ask you a question. Okay, Eddie Estock says 300 tip. Oh, TPI. 300 TPI. What do you want to know about that?
I don't know a lot about the TPIs. I do. I've worked on a couple, but I don't.
Or are you just saying that because you think it's the cat's meow? So I'm going to go back to Brad real quick, and then Eddie, you tell me what you mean by that. Do you want to know something about the TPI, or are you just saying that you like that bike? But Brad, question for Brad. Brad's a good rider. I've been on the track with him. We've went riding a couple times. He's I don't know. He's a great rider. So, Brad, if you could tell anybody, a young guy coming up in the sport, again, say he's a 16-year-old, he got his bike, he's into riding, he's getting pretty good. Say he's like a beginner B level, like he just got up into B. What would you tell that guy as far as like in your life, your big aha moment, like you figured something out riding the bike? Like, if it's a rutted turn technique, or if it's how to seat bounce a bike or throttle control or what to do or not to do on the track. Now, Brad does mostly motocross, but has done some woods riding too. I want to know what you think, Brad. What bit of advice could you give someone that is simple for them to do, that when you did it, you were like, oh, all I have to do is this.
Breathe.
Breathing. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the first things I tell everybody that's into woods racing. When they start getting into racing, I'm like, you need to figure out how to breathe while you race. You think you're doing it, but I guarantee you're not.
Yeah.
If you're getting arm pumped to the point where you cannot hang on to the bars, I would be willing to bet
you're holding your breath,
that breathing is mostly the problem, and a combination of your grip on the bike and not technique, but body position.
Yeah, that'll wear you out if you overdo it.
And obviously that goes into technique as well. But breathing, I tell people all the time when they're getting into racing, you need to, when you first start, the flag drops and you go around that first turn, most of the riding is muscle memory, clutch work and brake work and lean angles and all that stuff. But when those tense moments come and you're going between turns and you go up a hill and whatever, the first 2 minutes of that race, you probably held your breath for 20 seconds and didn't even know it. I tell people breathing big time all the time. And breathing just in and out, like normal deep breaths, and just as if you just started jogging. That's the way I put it to people. Get in a rhythm with your breathing. So aside from breathing, I mean, all the top-level racers know that breathing is super critical. But what would you say as far as, like, you told me one day about, we were out at Switchback, and I was practicing one turn and one jump, just practicing the approach, the apex of the turn, staying seated over, it was a tabletop, but it was right out of that turn. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you told me not to do?
Keep your foot off the brake.
The rear brake.
Yeah.
So I tend to drag my rear brake, and I think a lot of woods riders do that.
I mean, it's a good technique to keep your suspension loaded on the ground, but it'll get you sometimes though. Like, you, instead of dragging your foot on the brake, if you just give it gas instead of brake, it's just the same effect, a different way.
Same effect, but it actually allows your suspension to move. Yeah. Where if you're dragging the brake, all it does is allow it to compress. Yeah. It forces it down into the dirt, which, like you said, it can create traction and it can keep you in a rut. But it also binds your suspension. It doesn't allow it to rebound the way it should.
And your momentum too. I mean, you're dragging the brakes, so you're slowing your momentum down. Like, that's what I noticed the day when you were doing it. Your momentum was just coming to a creep, and then you would go.
So you're saying, like, I was approaching fast. I was braking too late. Yeah. I was braking pretty much into the apex. Yeah. And then trying to figure out the exit, where you told me just do your approach, get your body position and everything set up earlier, basically. Yeah. And roll through the turn. And it took me a few tries, but then I was going from barely like clipping the landing of that jump. I was doing it perfectly. Yeah. Just
with less effort.
With less effort. But it's a strange feeling. That rear brake is like a binky. Yeah. It's a pacifier. It makes you feel safe. Yeah. It's just it's a habit, and some people, like I say, it works for me in the woods, but on moto it definitely screws my turns up. Brad Jones says, honestly, seat time, ride every type of terrain you can. Absolutely. And the kids are trying to look good for Instagram instead of actually putting the seat time in. So I would agree with that. I would say that Brad Jones says he's the king of brake dragging. So
yeah, he was talking about his rotor was cracked, and I was like, "Well, that's dragging your brake."
Oh my good word!
He's like, "I'm a run with it." And
wow, Well, hey man, some people do it, and if you listen to these other podcasts, they talk about technique as well. The new style training, the new style riding, they're saying no clutch, no brake, through the turn. I understand both schools of thought, but
applying them is a different story.
to reply to what you said, Brad, about the kids are all trying to look good for Instagram instead, I'll tell you a good case in point. Brad, you've seen me ride motocross. It's not pretty. I don't make it look good. I go over the jumps. I get over the jumps. I really don't have much bike control in the air. I have enough bike control. That's about it. I can't stay low. I can't Bubba scrub or anything like that. And I've been out on the track. When we were doing the motocross country races, I saw these dudes take off on the moto track, and they're whipping. They're doing all this fancy stuff, and they look sweet.
Burning energy there.
And I was glued to them. I was like, these guys look amazing, but I was still right there with him. And then we get in the woods, and I had my way with him, and it ended up really good because we get back on the moto, and they'd crawl back a little bit, and we'd battle. It was a good time, but you put the seat time in, and you practice technique, and you practice, fixing, ironing out the bugs, and trying to figure out what you're doing wrong. I think that is definitely more important than learning how to whip. That's everyone's first. It seems like the young guys, they can all whip. They can all go over a jump and throw their bike sideways, but they can't rail a turn.
Yeah.
They're sloppy in the turns,
Yeah. Everybody's a little different.
So a couple more fast guys are on here. Dave Toot, Chad Tallman, Anthony Burbick. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. So the question I asked Brad Jones, this is to Chad Tallman and Anthony Burbick. If anyone's watching this podcast and wondering if they ask the question, I'm getting into racing. I'm a beginner B-level rider, and I want to learn how to get better. What for you guys was the big aha? Like you woke up one day and you were like, oh, I just have to do this and now I can turn. Or I just have to do this to get over that jump. Or anything as far as riding technique. We were talking about breathing. Now we were just talking about dragging a brake through turns. Any technique, anything that you had a big aha moment that helped you out in riding and racing. I'll tell you one of mine, until you guys start getting these questions, and until I start receiving these questions on the phone here. But one of my big things is just body position, period. So considering where the foot pegs are in relation to the handlebars and where that bike wants your body weight to be to function at its best. So from what I gather, it's pretty much over the foot pegs. That's like the center line. If you bounce up and down directly over your foot pegs, your suspension works pretty balanced. That's what I'm getting at. So we have some other stuff coming in, and I'll touch on that in a second. The thing I was saying about body position is that attack position, I'm sure some of you guys have heard about, keeping your chin over the bars and your elbows up, that all those things have been figured out, and people preach these things for a reason. It's because that bike is balanced there, and it has to do with where the traction is going. So the front tire versus the rear tire. Obviously, those conditions, you might want to sit a little further back, exiting a flat turn, and maybe tilt the bike instead of lean with the bike. But understanding body position on a bike, for me, was one of the best things I could do to improve my riding. So Brad Jones says, another tip for getting better would be to buy a Kawasaki. I'm going to call BS on that one, Brad. I'm not saying they're not good bikes, but I'm partial. So Van May's leaving. He said, great job, guys. Got to go. Heading to the races. No engine today. Pedal power. It's the Nevada State BMX Championship. And He says, see you soon in Ohio.
See you, Van.
Jason Webb says, what is your favorite tricycle? Now, let me tell you who this guy is. I work with him, and he doesn't know jack crap about dirt bikes, so he's just being a smart ass.
Well,
So
nobody likes the Radio Flyer.
nobody likes the Radio Flyer, he says. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have a
either.
good smart ass answer for that one.
Yeah.
So who else we got? Chad Tallman. Chad Tallman is a guy that another natural rider. He's comes off the couch and he's a top 20, top 15, top 10 overall, guy. Back in his day, he was an overall rider, and now he's getting up there in age with the rest of us and not riding or racing as much. But Chad, give me something, man. Give me a big aha moment. Like, what really helped you in your racing years? What was that big thing that you figured out? There's got to be something.
I'm trying to think of what I figured out, and like nothing's coming to mind.
I'm going to tell you something else that during a race, something I focus on that has a lot to do with fitness for me. With good body position, like when you're accelerating out of a turn, you have to have your chin over the bars. If you're going to say, we're just going to say optimal traction conditions, right? You come out of a turn, you're hooking up, you're getting good drive. When you come out of that turn, if your bike's wheeling, you're going to get tired. You're using muscles that you don't need to use. So that body position, keeping your chin over the bars, and I was just going to touch on being aggressive. So when you come out of a turn and you're going A to B, so you come out of your turn, you're exiting, you're looking at your next turn, right? When you're exiting, you're looking at where you're going. As soon as you square up, or when you're exiting that turn, because racing is a game of seconds a lot of times, you need to be aggressive. So get your body in the right position to use the clutch, smack the gas wide open, and manage that bike's power to get from A to B. Basically, a drag race everywhere you go.
You kind of want to keep it in a straight line too. I mean, that's A to B straight line. Sure. I think a lot of things that made it easier for me is, since I was injured on the top end here, squeezing the bike with my legs more and relaxing with my hands makes arm pump go away too. When you get arm pump, it's because you're probably gripping so hard, but your legs are, your bike's bounced between your legs. Just squeeze your legs a little bit more and relax on the hands. That made a difference for me. But
squeezing your legs more, I agree 100%. I'm a big bike squeezer. And again, it all ties back into body position, because if you're squeezing your legs tight, but your butt is far back and you're hanging on with just your hands, you're going to get arm pump still. In order to capitalize on that body position and squeezing and everything, the bike basically has to pivot underneath you, right? You want the bike to pivot under you.
You got to let the bike work.
Right. If you're leaning back and the bike's going to want to wheelie, you're using extra muscles you don't need to be using, etc. So let's see what Chad Tallman said. He said he figured out to relax and shake the arm pump early and run your own pace. Let faster guys by instead of trying to battle.
Yeah.
Smarter and smoother, I suppose, he says. So that's true.
Pace in his race. I mean, that's huge. I mean, if you try to go out and push too fast, you're going to peter out, or if you take too long to start pushing, they're all going to be ahead of you. So just ride your race. That's pretty much what he said.
So Eddie Estock is commenting on Chad's. He said to add on to Chad's idea, let me see, I'm trying to get the rest of this pulled up, of smarter and smoother, he has learned that line choices and keeping your feet on the pegs and ride slower to pace yourself. So
slower is faster.
And what Aaron means by that, a lot of guys say that, the way I used to say it was slow is smooth, and smooth equals fast.
Absolutely.
And that basically just means that if you're riding erratic, you're going to get tired. So clean up your riding. Don't try to blast everything as hard as you possibly can.
Momentum.
keep momentum going. And Eddie, you have a good point about keeping your foot on the pegs, because a lot of guys say that are transitioning from motocross and they're coming into woods riding, they're used to sticking their leg out all day long, right? So I agree that something to do to get better at racing is to go out in the woods, ride a pace, like you guys are saying, Chad and Eddie, set a pace to where you're pushing yourself, but you know you can run that pace mistake-free. Do that and never put your feet down. And if you practice this stuff and you start getting the body position dialed in and the breathing dialed in and all this, it's like putting together a good recipe for pasta sauce or something. Once it's all there, you will start seeing big changes. So let's see here. Let's switch this back over so we can get a look at Aaron.
Yeah.
So anything else, Aaron, for riding technique and to get better? Or bike setup, like aha moments for bike setup?
I don't know. There could be so much. Like, I'm not the guy to ask. I mean, you want to ask real fast, guys, but a bike setup is it's key. I mean, you can't have an unbalanced bike trying to push a bike through the corners that wants to push or tuck real bad. Is just bike setup. And bike setup will make you not as tired. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if your bike's riding smooth, like Joel Youngkins was having issues, and he says, what can we do? And we just changed just a couple small little things, and he said it was a big difference. So
yeah.
He said he felt more confident on the bike instead of trying to fight it so much. So
one thing that has to do with setup is, well, people were like, what do you mean setup? Like, I don't know that much about setup. And we could talk about suspension for days and days. But in a nutshell, you need to learn what your basic suspension settings do. So rebound, compression, high speed on the rear shock.
You don't want to fight your bike wherever you're going. You want the bike to go where you want it, not, hang on. If you're hanging on, then you got to change a few things. But
I was supposed to give a review for this macchiato latte thingy. What's it called? Macchiato? What?
Just a macchiato.
Macchiato.
No sugar.
And he said there's a bunch of espresso in here. So that's why I feel like I just did. Yeah, it got me cranked up, man.
A little sweaty under the armpits there, huh?
It's got me going, boy. So it's not bad tasting. It's not bad.
It's Dunkin' Donuts. It's not.
They didn't add sugar. But Dave Toot, come on, buddy. Chime in. Let me hear what you figured out riding wise. What made you faster? What made you a better rider? What did you start doing, or a bad habit that you broke? Toot was the Lightning overall master. He got a whole bunch of overalls down at Lightning, it's a tough track, a lot of elevation change.
Pretty tight too, right?
I wouldn't say real tight, as far as like dodging trees tight, but technical. Yeah, there's not too many spots that were like real wide through the woods like a GNCC. But all right, Brad, we'll catch you later, man. Have a good day. So Brad Jones said he got to get going. So until some of these other guys chime in, I would just say, what did we touch on? Yeah, bike setup, making sure that it's set up right. Like you said, tire pressure, every little thing actually matters. And
well, I mean, I guess if you want to go the next step, I think nutrition and hydration would probably be next. Not so much nutrition. I mean, nutrition's super important. I mean, you get some of these top pro riders, and some of them eat super specific things. But I think hydration. I mean, if you're dehydrated, that beer the night before is not the way to go. But drink some water. That definitely helps for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
I did some research on hydration because I told you I was struggling with the heat. So I was wanting to make sure that I was hydrating the right way before a race. And I'll say this. Something I figured out was I was drinking a gallon of water a day. or real close to a gallon of water every single day. And I was trying to make sure that I had enough salt in my diet, which I was doing the right thing. But something to be aware of is drinking too much water.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. So just be cognizant or be aware of how much water is going into your body versus salt.
Yeah, you don't want to force the water, and you want to definitely drink what you're capable of. You don't want to overdo it.
And drinking a lot of water is, I guess, it can be beneficial, but you need electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
You need
salts and sugars.
Salt, yeah. So those sports drinks, some of them are probably better than others, but it is important to get. I started drinking those. What are they called? Ironmans or something? There's a sports drink out there that it's packed with vitamins, and obviously you get your electrolytes through there. So I started drinking 2 of those a day, and so 2 quarts of that, 2 quarts of water, and I felt better the next day at the races, because I do feel like my electrolytes were off. I was drinking all the water that somebody could drink, but I was still feeling dehydrated at the races. So that is important to mix in some sort of electrolyte drink.
And you can't do it just right before the race or the night before. It's actually a day or 2 before you want to actually start taking that in.
Yeah, if you start looking into like triathletes, and you start looking into their diets and what they eat and drink,
they start 4 or 5 days before the event.
Well, those guys, that's pretty much their lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
But they will say, like, when you start carb loading and you start hydrating, they say 2 days before the event.
Sure.
Like, a lot of guys they think they could pound water the morning of.
Yeah, it don't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. So if you're hungover and you think you're going to pound a Gatorade and be fine, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, you can
maybe when you're 20.
Maybe start hitting the Pedialyte too.
Yeah,
and that works too. I drink that a lot. Pedialyte's
good. It's salt in it and stuff. But yeah, 2 days before the event, start your carb loading and hydrating. That makes a gigantic difference as far as the way you feel as the race wears on.
And everybody's a little different too, so you got to kind of find your own way of doing it.
Right.
Know?
So Dave Toot said Pedialyte was a big difference maker for me. I'm not a big water guy. Few days before is key. So
yeah. So it's pretty much basically everybody's same thoughts.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. So the actual video of us that's going to get uploaded onto, I hope I started that camera.
You did, because you said we got to start this.
Or yeah. I'm always worried about starting the camera, but the actual podcast that is going to be on YouTube, this will all be on YouTube, so it'll be on there. I'm going to look a little goofy because I'm moving the phone back and forth on the podcast, but it's cool. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I think that this is cool. There's definitely a more tech-savvy way to accomplish what I'm doing right now, and eventually I'll probably get to that point. But I just wanted to do this as a little experiment.
Saturday morning too, so
yeah, Saturday morning, and it was just a last-minute idea I had. So I appreciate all you guys chiming in and making it interesting, and joining Aaron and I. Aaron,
see you guys next time.
Yeah, and
maybe.
Yep. So, any comments or constructive criticism on what we're doing? Hey, I'm all about it. So if you guys like it, good. I appreciate that. So the next podcast we will be, let's see,
round 8 coverage.
Mike Coe just commented, Squincher Zero is a good sugar-free electrolyte powdered mix. Never even heard of it, but
I'll have to look into it.
That's something to look into. But regardless, we have one more podcast. I'm going to try to get Jeff and Tom here from EROC, and we're going to cover round 8. we covered round 7. The results are posted from that, and we just wanted to BS with you guys a little bit and give this little experiment a try. So we'll catch you guys later on. You're welcome, Mom. My mom says thank you for the information. You're welcome, Mom. We love you. So we'll catch you guys later on, and we will be this podcast will probably be posted on YouTube in a few days when I get around to editing. All right, take care. So the live video is ended. We're good there. And to wrap things up here, that's about it. I think it was good to get some other people's viewpoints on.
Yeah, everybody's got a different viewpoint on stuff. Some are better than others, but maybe some things work for just that person. So
a lot of people can't explain. A lot of people don't know why they can ride a dirt bike well or not. A lot of people don't even have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's like you get on there, like shifting gears. Like how people ask me, like that don't ride. They're like, "Well, how do you know when to pull the clutch in or shift the gears or and stuff?" It's like, well, you don't think about that stuff.
No,
it's just all natural.
Well, that's the thing that when I said earlier about muscle memory, those things
you don't think about.
You really don't. But if you really want to refine your riding, if you want to get better, you should revisit those.
Oh, for sure.
So shift points, it's important.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the wrong gear, it can wear you out.
It can wear you out or
beat your bike up.
There's so many things.
Fuel
like
consumption.
Are you in the meat of the power? Are you utilizing all the power of the bike in the gear that you're in? Or do you want to be in the higher or lower part of the RPMs? So like revisiting clutch technique, like I said, coming out of a turn or hole shots, your starts. There's so many things you can practice. Me and Mike Kaiser, we went out one day. This was a few years ago, and we were goofing around, and I said, let's practice a couple starts. And I watched him do his starts, and I said, try this. And it was just about how he was releasing his clutch. I said, try doing this different, And oh my God, dude.
9-day difference.
Oh my God. His first try, he just was like a bullet coming out of the start.
That's just maybe things that when you're on your bike, there's things that you can't see. So having somebody else's eyes helps.
Yeah. Yeah. And just tips that you may have not heard before. That's why I think, I don't really have much to hide at this point. I'm at the end of my racing, I think, close to it. I don't know. It always bites me midwinter. I always want to go back out and race.
Get some studs on them tires.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so fun.
That's what I hear.
It's a blast, dude. I guarantee you, if you did it for the first time, I guarantee you'd be out there the next weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the first time I did it, I was like, a light bulb blew. I was like, why have I never done this before?
I think it would be amazing, but then I think when you go back to knobbies, you'd feel like you're riding on grease.
I thought the same thing too. Like when I first put the regular tires back on, I thought I'm gonna be sliding off everything, and it is a little bit slip. Everything's a little bit more slipperier, but it's not a huge difference. It's not what you would think.
Really?
Because I got back in the dirt and it was fine. You just got to the cross logs. Can't screw with those anymore. With the studs, you can go whichever way you want and it doesn't slip. But
that's insane.
But the logs on regular tires, you better prepare for that slide.
Know your technique.
Yeah. At least get that front wheel over it so you can high side.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I was saying, it is important for people that can convey these things and get these messages across to the younger riders or racers that they're taking it serious. Maybe their mom and dad weren't into the sport enough to be able to give them
an education.
This advice.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of the guys that are on YouTube, they do a good job for people that are advanced. But
there's a gap between beginners and advanced, though.
Right. I think that there's a little disconnect or a gap, like you said, for the guys that are like C riders and B riders that they're just like, how do those guys go so fast? How do they do this? How do they do that? There's little things, and I really enjoy watching people get better at anything.
Yeah.
And if I have any way to help, I love being able to help.
Yeah.
So.
I enjoy helping people too. I'm not always the best at explaining stuff, but it's fun to help somebody, and then for them to actually take something that you gave them and go away with it and do well.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cool thing, a good feeling.
I had, when Allison and I first got together, I taught her to ride. I bought her a dirt bike, and she's a great student. She listens, she gets it, and she executes.
Nice.
Same thing with skiing. I'm like, you're getting into dirt bikes, you're getting into skiing. And I'm like, we're going shopping. You know, we went out and bought some ski gear for her. And same thing with skiing. I'm like, you know, telling her about, and dude, listen, I'm not an expert skier. I just learned myself.
Man, I went skiing with you the one time, and I mean, we were going down the hill, and here comes Brad blowing by me like I wasn't even moving. You had your 80s outfit on. It was awesome, dude.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
The red and blue.
Yeah, I love skiing.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. That was a great day, man. We need to go again.
My back's tough on snowboarding.
Really? Go ski. Is it better?
I never skied before.
I'll teach you.
All right, sweet.
4 easy steps, man. Hey, go that way really fast. If something gets in your way, turn.
Yeah. That's it.
That was a little Better Off Dead reference there.
Yeah.
Some old school John Cusack stuff. But so I taught her to ride dirt bikes, taught her how to ski, and I didn't know much about skiing at all, but I just taught her what I figured out. I never had a lesson in my life, but I was like, this is what really helped me.
Yeah.
And that's what I look for, or that's what I try to get across to young riders is what did I do that I really was like,
game changer.
Yeah, game changer. Like instant getting better and instant results.
I had when I lived in Florida, I had a huge epiphany the one time. I rode with a group of guys that were much faster than me, and that's where I learned, like, entering a corner, instead of going in there and hitting that knife hook, you sweep the outside and keep your momentum rolling. Like, riding with faster riders is what changed my ability to, I guess, go to the next little baby step.
And a lot of times you can ride with somebody that is just a little bit faster than you.
Oh, yeah. And you can pick up tiny little things.
Tiny things. And that's how you make those. But you have to pay attention, you know? Something that is tough. It's tough to commit to for riders. But once you do it, yeah, it's
like the bent handlebars. It sucks right at first, but once you get acclimated to it, then you begin to.
But what I was going to say is like a muddy long rut that is not consistent or straight, or maybe it has a slight turn, you know, one way. You know how those muddy ruts get during a hare scramble race.
Oh yeah.
The biggest thing you could do, in my opinion, the best thing you could do in that situation is make sure that you're looking ahead. That's another thing that we should have covered.
Don't look down.
Is looking ahead. That's one of the top things as far as getting faster is learning to ride comfortably when your vision is out here.
That's the first thing. You go to any riding school, that's what they first tell you. Your bike's going to go where your head's going.
Right.
Not where your eyes are going,
right,
but where your head's going.
Right.
Your head, and then your chest follows, and then your bike goes that way. That's the biggest thing that they'll tell you at the riding schools.
Yeah.
Turn your head where you want to go. Like I said, don't lose just your eyes, and don't look right in front of your tire. I mean, sometimes you have to, but you want to scan ahead and come back. And, you know, I mean, it's a little bit different for everybody, but yeah, keeping your head and eyes where you want to go.
Yeah. So those ruts, like going into the rut, high RPM, keep your body weight forward so that front tire is it's doing the steering, you know.
It's not trying to climb out of the rut either.
Balance, obviously, but you're not going through balancing like this or like this. You have to hit them aggressive.
Yeah.
You got to keep momentum, and that keeps the bike up. And leaning too is like, I know people get screwed up in ruts.
You want to keep your body straight and let the bike do the work in the rut and keep your body straight.
Yeah.
In theory.
In theory, but like say you have a rut that like it favors to the right a little bit and then straightens back out. It's just a weird rut, because it's just how the ground got chewed up. The best thing I could tell someone that, and I still struggle sometimes with these ruts. The best thing I could tell someone is if it favors the right, if it's a long and it barely goes to the right, your body alignment, it goes your body, the bike, then the rut. So that's your perfect scenario in a rut that's like this, that's square. You're just riding straight through a square rut. Everything's in alignment, right? Just like a rutted turn on a moto track, that thing starts doing this, right? If you're going, say you're with a bunch of B riders, your rut is going to be like this.
Yeah.
If you're a bunch of A riders, your rut's like this.
Yeah.
Because of your lean angle, right?
Yeah.
Still, your body, your bike, then the rut, all align.
That's where momentum. That's the momentum I was talking about. That
right.
keeps you.
But so getting back to the mudded straight rut through the woods, if that thing favors the right, if the rut favors the right side a tiny bit, I will barely have my head like off to the right side. And I mean barely. But what it does is it keeps you from high siding. It keeps you from
tipping over.
It keeps you from going that way. And if it's easier to control, because if you start low siding or falling, all you have to do is gas it, and then you're good. You control it with your throttle. It's easier to control your turn from that position, like with the throttle and leaning to the inside. It's easier to control that turn than it is going into the turn. Your body weight gets to the outside,
and then you got to brake to bring it back down.
You almost have to stop to like reset, because your bike starts wanting to fall out of you have no way to get back, so favor that inside a tiny bit. And then where it gets goofy and it switches back and it goes left, you're favoring, and then you're setting up for that little jog, and then your head goes to the other side, and then the bike follows.
Switches, yeah.
So if your body weight should be just inside of the arc of any of those turns, and those awkward turns they're not a long sweeping arc or anything like that. It's just they kind of go this way and that way through the woods. It's a tough thing to get the hang of, but keep your feet on the pegs, look ahead, and keep your body weight just inside.
Yeah.
Like you said, the bike follows your head. That was a tough one. I still struggle with it.
Yeah. I struggle with the ruts a lot myself. I mean, and that was always my bad. Like, I just was not good at ruts. But after riding in the woods, though, they become a little bit better because you have to.
And like Brad said, and Toot was saying about calming down and just not worrying about this looking fancy or whatever. It's just a matter of seat time. And as much as I hate dealing with the aftermath of riding in the mud, you have to go out and ride in the mud.
Oh, yeah. I love riding in the mud. I just hate the aftermath.
I say the same thing. It's not that I hate riding in the mud. I just don't want to deal with all the other
5 hours of cleaning.
Yeah, it's terrible, but yeah, it's necessary to get out there and put the time in. When we went down to Georgia, it was after a winter break. A couple years ago, it rained the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was so sloppy down there, but it sucked because everybody was destroying brake pads. And I mean, I'm telling you, 2 sets of brake pads a day.
Yeah. Choose them up.
We were just destroying them. So my point is, we went out and we were in the mud, and I mean sloppy, slippery ruts for days, dude. But by the end of like the first day, I was comfortable. I'm like, I could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you just have to ride it. You just got to get in it, figure it out, and ride it.
And that's what, like Brad Jones said, ride as many different trains as you could.
Yeah.
And when I first started racing motocross, like we had at Pontoon was a mud race, and like everybody's freaking out. Well, that's all I grew up was riding in the mud, so I actually did well at these mud races because that's all I ever rode in.
Hey, look at like Plessinger.
Yeah, he's an off-road guy. He does well in the mud.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with your background.
He's also like 6'6" too.
Yeah, being tall helps.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that it helps across the board because these dirt bikes are one size fits all, whether it fits or not.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah, if I had my choice, I'd shrink my bike a little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely, just a little, you know. And I bet you Plessinger would want his to be a tiny bit bigger.
Yeah, he looks a little small on that.
Yeah, but somebody that's like 6 foot or 6'1", you know, I'm like 5'10". Somebody that's like 6 foot or 6'1" is probably perfect.
Yeah.
You know? Who knows? I'm guessing, but.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not a real tall guy, but it doesn't really bother me on the bikes.
Yeah. No, I've never really thought, oh man, I can't do this because I'm short.
I've had a lot of people like, can you lower my suspension because I can't put my foot on the ground? And I'm like, dude, I can't. I'm tippy toe. I can barely put my feet on the ground. It's like, once you get going, that goes away.
Yeah.
Like, you don't ever think of that once you go.
Where it does matter is like downhills because,
yeah,
you know, hitting your butt, you know, you're closer to the seat. Downhilling is going to matter a little if you're short.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and balance, like the crazy technical rock sections, if you're dabbing your feet, well, if you have to put your hip over, you know, if you have to lean off the bike to touch your foot versus just squatting a little,
you're blowing all the weight over.
Yeah, you're pulling the bike. So yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages.
But you learn your own technique.
Carmichael did.
Yeah, he's what, 5'7"?
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable what he could do on a bike. Imagine how much faster he'd be if he was like 4 inches taller. No, I don't know.
But you never know though. I mean, look at Wyndham. No. He's a tall guy.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So anyway, man, let's wrap it up. It's getting a little bit long, but again, I'll say it again. Round 8's coming up. Tom and Jeff from the Eastern Racing Off-Road Championship Series will be. They say they're going to try to make it down. So we're going to have those guys wrap up the series, and I do plan on having some people up here to just BS. And I just mean a regular podcast. I have 2 people lined up. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about politics from the viewpoint of a guy like me who is not very political, and I hear things from this guy. I hear things from that guy, and I have questions, right? Your average, not so politically inclined or smart person. I shouldn't say smart, but I just don't take it the wrong way. Easy. I just mean like politically smart.
Yeah. Well, some people just choose not to really.
I did my whole life.
Yeah.
I ignored it on purpose because I never liked it. But
yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So I have some musicians lined up. I have people that want to talk politics lined up. So if you guys dig podcasts, it's just going to be on YouTube for now until I figure these other platforms out and how to get this audio converted and do all this other crap. But look forward to that too. So we'll catch you guys later on.
Cool. See ya.